Welcome to Predicate Perfection. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever lost a sale? Have you ever won a sale? How would you like to win more sales more often? Well, the answer's always yes. So what are we learning? In this section of the training, we're going to learn about predicate perfection. And continuing on with the work of Professor Albert Mehrabian from UCLA, we understand that 7% of your communication is in the spoken word. So what does that mean to you? It means that your words can wipe you out, or your words can win you a sale. And once you start to use words that win sales, you'll increase your motivation and you'll also improve your social regulation. And as I mentioned before, any improvement in emotional intelligence will see a corresponding increase in your sales income. Now, we have 5 sensory input channels: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. It's how we see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. And all of these senses are activated before language. Now, as we understand predicate perfection, what we have to understand is that information comes through our nervous system. Once it comes through our nervous system, our mind, our brain, creates a linguistic map. And you can see on the right-hand side, I've highlighted language. And so we create a linguistic map with pictures, sounds, feelings, smells, tastes. But we do a 6th thing inside of our mind, and we call it self-talk. So we have 5 senses, but on the inside of our mind, we can also add self-talk. And this is what we call our labeling system. Now, to create a different focus within our client's mind, we have to be able to influence the pictures that they have in their mind. We have to be able to influence the sounds they have in their mind. We have to be able to influence the way that they feel. What you need to remember is that all decisions are made in the right brain. The right brain is the creative, the emotional brain. And this is where we have to influence these pictures, these sounds, these feelings, and also change the way that they label this by reframing, etc. Now, changing your language can be powerful, potent, and very persuasive. So what does this mean for you? It means that there's going to be 4 types of buyers that you deal with. You're going to deal with people who are predominantly visual buyers. You're going to work with people who are auditory buyers. You're going to work with buyers who are more kinesthetic. And then you're going to have those buyers who are really inside their head. And we call them auditory digital buyers. And all of these 4 buyers have their own language. And if you aren't speaking their lingo, you ain't going to make bank. Now, at an unconscious level, all of these buyers expect to be communicated with differently. They won't come out and say, "Hey, Daniel, I'm a visual buyer." They'll never say that. They'll just assume at an unconscious level that you can pick this up. And for those people who can pick it up, you get rewarded with the sale and the money. So, at any given moment, your prospect, your buyer, is going to give you linguistic clues. They're going to give you clues by the words that they use, by the language that they use when communicating with you. So how do you identify these buyers? A visual buyer will want to see your services. An auditory buyer will want to talk to you about your service. A kinesthetic buyer will want to get a hold of it. They'll want to touch it. They'll want to test drive it. And the auditory digital buyers want to hear all about the research and the results. Now, if you don't give this buyer what they need in terms of communication, they have to say no because they cannot make a good decision. Remember, this is also how they make decisions. This is how they buy. And if you're attuned to this, you can make more sales and a lot more money. Visual buyers, they don't want to talk to you about products. They want to look at it. Auditory buyers, they don't want you to show them pictures. They want to talk about it. They want to discuss it. Kinesthetic buyers don't care about your research. They want to get it into their hands and test drive it. And the auditory digital buyers, they don't want to test it out. They want data and they want proof of concept. And remember, this is how they buy and make decisions. And if you can change your language and your presentation to suit all four buyers, you can make more sales than you have in the past. So how do these people make decisions? Visual people make decisions by seeing it. Auditory people make decisions by talking about it. Kinesthetic people make decisions by getting a feel for it. And auditory digital buyers make sure that it all adds up. And when your sales process matches their model of the world, the sale comes together fast. So how do you recognize these people? They're going to say things like, hey, it's nice to see you. G'day. It's nice to hear from you. G'day. It's nice to feel your presence. Hello. It's nice because I've been thinking about you. And when you're attuned to their language, you'll understand what type of buyer they are. Visual buyers will always say it's nice to see you. Auditory buyers will say it's nice to hear from you. Kinesthetic buyers will say it's good to feel your presence. Auditory digital buyers will say I've been thinking about you. And this is how you can identify them. They're always giving you clues. You just got to be aware of it. They also may ask questions like this. May I take a look at this? Auditory buyers will say, what are your thoughts on this? Kinesthetic buyers will say, may I touch this? And the auditory digital buyers will say, may I know more about this? A visual buyer will say, can you show me around? An auditory buyer will say, your offer sounds interesting. Your kinesthetic buyer will say, this offer is solid. And the auditory digital buyer will say, I predict this offer is complete. So what's next? What I want you to do now is to observe your own words. And I want you to identify your style. What is your style of buying? Is it visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or auditory digital? Once you've identified your style, then I want you to start to adapt your presentation to each unique buyer. Change your presentation to suit a visual buyer. Change your presentation to suit an auditory buyer. Change your presentation to suit the kinesthetic buyer. Change your presentation to suit the auditory digital buyer. And when you do that, you'll then see an increase in your sales results immediately. Now, with this information, you're at the second stage of learning. As you apply this, you'll quickly move to conscious competence. I want you to apply this, test it out, get feedback. And after you've applied this for 1 to 2 weeks, you'll quickly move to the fourth stage of learning, which is unconscious competence. And you'll be able to adapt, adjust, respond to any buyer at any time. Now go ahead now to our next training where you're going to learn how to apply alliteration.